Welcome. In front of me is a Poco C40, and today I'll show you how we can go through the setup process of this phone. So when you boot it up for the first time, you should see this screen right over here, where you will get to, this screen, I would say, where on the next page you get to select your desired language. Now for me it's selected Polish, so I'm going to change it to English. There we go. And from there we can go to the next page, choose your region. Now region is correct, so I'm not going to be changing it. Then we have terms and conditions. Now you can tap on each one of them to read exactly what they are, so you know what you are actually agreeing to, but at the end of the day you do need to scroll down, select that you have carefully read and agreed to all of them, and from there we can go to the next page, which will allow us to insert a SIM card. Now by default it's checking for it, so we can just insert it, and honestly there is no difference if you insert it here, previous page, or the next page. The only reason why it shows up is because you can choose to connect to a mobile network or Wi-Fi, and that will give you the option to log into your Google account later on throughout the setup process. Now if you skip both of them, then obviously Google login page will not show up, and usually date and time is not set automatically. I'm going to be skipping both, so you will be able to see that. Now here's the network connections. Obviously you can connect to some network if you want to, but I'll be skipping it. This will then bring us to Google services, so we have location, scanning, and sending user and diagnostic data. Now there is a little bit of a longer version of it if you tap on the drop down, as you can see. So if you're interested to know exactly what these are, you can read it, disable it if you don't want it. There, scroll all the way down and select accept. This will then allow us to set some kind of protection to our phone. It gives us two options, a screen lock and fingerprint. And if you're planning to use a fingerprint, you will also need to set up a screen lock. The reason for that is if you would cut your finger, you would virtually lose access to your device because of that. So thus, you still have something like PIN, pattern, or password to access your device. I'll be skipping both of them. And this will then bring us to additional settings. So we have a couple different settings. Now these are, I believe, Xiaomi specific. So again, we have location, send user and diagnostic data, which again repeats, automatic system updates, personalized aids, Wallpaper Carousel, and some user experience programs, whatever. Like all of these are just kind of whatever. Like I said, some of them also already repeat, so you can disable them if you have done so before. I'm just gonna touch upon two. One that is absolute cancer, and the other one which is just an optional kind of thing for people that might enjoy it. So Wallpaper Carousel is the what people might enjoy. It has like this catalog of different wallpapers, which are basically being swapped around every time you wake up the display. When the device is not being used, and it's just call it kind of like this, and then you press on the power button and wake it up, you would have a different wallpaper which is just kind of pre-downloaded by the device, and there's, I don't know, maybe 30 different wallpapers that it cycles through. So if that is something that you want, keep this enabled. If you don't want it, then turn it off. You can see a preview of the wallpapers that will be accessible right there. So if that's not your kind of jam, obviously you can turn it off. And keep in mind, these are some of the wallpapers that they show. They have all kinds of different ones, like furnished a room, for instance, with like some really old school furniture. They have obviously just scenarios, scenics, like mountains, beaches, animals, cats, dogs, obviously birds and stuff like that, and obviously some other stuff like cars and anything else. So obviously if that's not your thing, maybe you just want to have your static wallpaper, just a single one that you pick, then select no thanks. Now another thing that I'll now touch upon is the personalized aids, as this should be called, which is this right here. And the reason why I'm gonna point this out is because it would have been fine if it's here and you can just disable it like any other of those, but this one is an absolute effing nightmare. It brings up a window right here with a reverse psychology on top of that. So if you try to disable something, usually you have the disable button, right? You turn it off and off you go, it's off, right? But if you have to confirm something, you will have, are you sure you want to do it? Yes. No. This just keeps it on, because reverse psychology. Obviously it says turn off, so at least that's nice. They could have just named it something like that will even confuse you even further and then automatically go to the next page, but still, there is no reason for this to bring up a pop-up. What this is, just so everybody knows, personalized ads is basically gathering data on what you search for, what you talk about, and then gives you ads on websites, YouTube, and everywhere based on your interest, which to me is absolutely effing intrusive beyond belief and should not even be enabled by default, in my opinion. So that's why I would recommend turning it off. Anyway, we can go to the next page, which basically finishes up the setup. So let's just press right over here, loading apps, and then we should have our home screen in a second. And as you can see, there we are on our home screen. So anyway, if you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.